Hello, welcome to Get Your Mind On. I'm Lori Stos. Incredible change happens when you decide to take control over the things that you have power over versus those things that you do not. So really, what does that mean? It's human nature that we're attached to people, circumstances, or things. And sometimes we realize that, but we really don't understand the root of the problem of all of that causes. Letting go is very difficult for many of us. And why are we afraid to let go of things? Letting go of things is emotional, it's fearful, and we want to hold on to things because we might be afraid of losing that job, losing that partner or spouse, or maybe having to transfer or make a change in our lives. And we think about if we just hold on long enough. And we all want happiness, but we have a tendency to live in this fear of losing these things that in our mind are so important to us. So do we really detach from those things? Do we really hold them tight thinking that this will lead us to all the happiness that we're longing for? Is it just that job? Is it just that person? Like without them in our lives, we would be miserable. Well, we really have to stop and think about those different types of attachments and really what brings us peace. Is it the control that we feel? If we have control, we understand this situation, that it'll be better in the end? Well, sometimes you really have to step back and let go. So let's talk about some of those different types of situations that may get us into a little bit of problem when we're thinking about letting go. First, let's think about letting go of the past. Today is today. A lot of things have happened in the past, and we really have to step back and think about those lessons that we've learned from the past. But if they're painful and they're hurting and they're slowing us down, we really have to let it go. We really have to let those poor memories really go to the wayside and think really about what can I do today? What lessons have I learned so that I can move forward? The next thing we have to think about is letting go of our attachment to certain people. That there are people in our lives for many reasons, and I'm sure you've heard about a reason, a season, or a lifetime, that sometimes relationships will go in and out of our lives, and we really have to think about sometimes if those relationships are healthy for us or not. We may be fearful when we lose a friend or when we move away from a company and depart from some of our close business friends and go into a new job and hope those people stay connected to us, and sometimes they don't. And so we may take that personal. And we may struggle with letting go of that. And of course, there is some pain and some feeling and emotion with that. But we really have to step back and say, what is the purpose of that relationship? And is that relationship healthy for us? Many times, it has to start with us. We first have to understand who we are and who we feel, how we feel independently about us first. We can't have expectations of others fulfilling those needs of making us feel really, really good. That feeling has to come from us inside first. So when those relationships go to the wayside, step back and evaluate that and understand that sometimes it's just for a reason. The next thing that's really critical in thinking about letting go is letting go of the outcomes. Sometimes we have that dream in our life that we want to create, whether that's that dream job, that dream relationship, that dream amount of money that we want in the bank, because we're thinking that, gosh, when we have that, that's just going to be what it is for me. I'm going to be so happy at that time. And we really want to work as hard as we can to control that. And sometimes controlling that is even more difficult because we're kind of pushing up the hill what we think will bring us happiness. And sometimes we can't control all of that, especially in a work situation when we have a number of things going on that we may be one part of. We can control our piece, again, what we can control, but not everybody else. But sometimes we get tied up in that. We get emotionally drained, we get angry, we get frustrated many times because it's not happening. And you have to really step back. That takes a lot of anguish. That puts a lot of stress on you. And you really have to stop and recognize when are those stressful situations happening because of your need to control and your need to really take full responsibility of some of the things that really are things that you can't control. So really, when you think about the outcomes, think about daily what you can accomplish every day to meet that long-term goal. And we got to make sure we're on the right path. But getting frustrated and worried about that outcome not happening, or waiting for that happiness and the successful feeling until that time, is a reach for many of us. That's unrealistic and really frustrating. So take some time to think about why you're really thinking about those outcomes and how you can really let it go, let it be, do your best in day to day, and know that that outcome will come when the time is right. So why is it so difficult to let go? It is difficult to let go because many times we hold on to things. We hold on to things to fulfill a need, maybe a need for something, and we're afraid to be empty. We're afraid that if that goes away, what's going to happen? That we can't recreate that relationship at work, or we can't recreate another job. Many of us have the talents, the capabilities to do that, but at that time when we're going through it, we just can't see that, right? We're in the moment so close to it, we don't want to let it go because of fear. That many times we're fearful that we can't have that again, or it will not recreate itself. So that's one thing, the fear. And the second thing is just that emptiness, that feeling that what will we need to fulfill that? And so as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we don't even know the connection of how that control piece really runs our life. And a way you can recognize that from a root cause piece is really, what are you turning to fulfill some of that empty feeling? Are you turning to food? Are you turning to alcohol? Are you turning to some not so good habits to fulfill an emptiness, when really you go back to the root cause of that, and that's part of this need to control and letting go. So when we think about ourselves in different environments, whether that's work or home or personal, or that need to know something, right? Many times at the office, we just want to know what's going on and we haven't been told. Just think about where that's coming from. So our positive charge for this week is really put yourself in those situations of, are there times that you feel a need to control and have struggles letting go? Take a few minutes to think about those types of things that you might see a pattern over your life and over your journey of what that might be for you. So for the second part of positive charge, let's think about those feelings that you have when you think about letting go. Are you afraid to let go because of your anxiety, maybe worry, discontent? Those are all things to think about when you look at maybe why we're not letting go of certain things. There's also that fear component. So really step back and dig a little deep to think about what that might be for you. So when we think overall about letting go just allows you to internally have more peace and have more contentment in your life, when you can really think about trusting that you're doing your best every day and that the outcome that is to be created will be created at the right time for you. Thank you for joining us today, and remember to get your mind on.